Live in living color, you are in the Hoodwood. We're going to try to do these week 2 picks a little quicker than we've done before. I'll try to spend a little less time on each pick, but I'll try to give you as much information as possible. All odds are provided by ESPN Bet and are for information and comparison purposes only. So that means you bet the Lions will lose. Don't call me. I don't pay bookies. Let's start with the games of the week of September 14th. All times are listed Eastern. This is a Fox doubleheader weekend. They're the national game of the week. We will get into that when we get to it. First on the docket, we have the 1-0 Rams taking on the 0-1 Titans at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Rams are 5.5-point favorites. Last week, the Rams defeated the Texans 14-9, while the Titans lost to the Broncos 20-12. The Rams offense really didn't show up in the force that we thought they would, and winning a low point slugfest with the Texans. They go on the road to face the Titans, who really couldn't get out of their own way in a game that they really should have won in Denver. But I still think the Rams, even though they're a West Coast team heading east, I still think they have the decided advantage on both sides of the ball. The pick here is the Los Angeles Rams. Next on the docket, we have the 1-0 Jaguars taking on the 1-0 Bengals at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Bengals are 3.5-point favorites. Last week, the Bengals defeated the Browns 17-16, while the Jags defeated the Panthers 26-10. Now, the Bengals won against the Browns despite having no first downs in the second half and only 7 yards of total offense in the third and fourth quarters. They had 5 straight 3-and-outs. But because the Browns' kicking is so bad, they escaped with a win. They are trying to get away from these slow starts that have dogged them over the past few years. But I think playing Jacksonville, who I have no faith in at all, even with Travis Hunter, even with Trevor Lawrence, I just don't think that they're that good of a team yet. They'll be good eventually, but not now. Pick here is Cincinnati. Next on the docket, we have the 0-1 Browns taking on the 0-1 Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Ravens are 11.5-point favorites. Last week, the Browns lost to the Bengals 17-16, while the Ravens lost to the Bills 41-40. Now, the Ravens have a solid offense. The Browns defense, while decent, is not going to hold they're not going to hold the Ravens to the kind of numbers that they did the Bengals. Lamar Jackson is just too dynamic. Derrick Henry has too good of a running style, and the Browns, while Myles Garrett may get his, won't slow them down that much. I still think the Ravens at their home opener should be a pretty solid bet. That's why I'm making Baltimore the Hoodwood lock of the week. Next on the docket, we have the 1-0 Bills taking on the 0-1 Jets at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Bills are 6.5-point favorites. Last week, Bills defeated the Ravens 41-40, while the Jets lost to the Steelers 34-30. Now, the Bills racked up the points coming back from an insane deficit to stun the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. They go downstate to take on the Jets, who gave it a go against the Steelers, but were just not that successful. I don't really believe in Justin Fields as much as a lot of people want to believe in him. Aaron Glenn has confidence in him. That may be all that needs to be said, but I still think the Bills are the better team all the way around. The pick here is Buffalo. Next on the docket, we have the 0-1 Patriots taking on the 0-1 Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Dolphins are favored by 1.5 points. The Patriots lost to the Raiders by the score of, if I can see it on my screen here. Yeah, there we go. 20-13, while the Dolphins lost to the Colts 33-8. Now, the Dolphins coach, Mike McDaniel, he's on the hot seat. And that hot seat has gotten exponentially hotter by the second with another poor performance by Tua Tagovailoa, who just seemed like he was hurried and harassed and made every kind of mistake you could think of. Now, going home, I think that the Patriots while they have room for improvement and will improve under Mike Vrabel, I think they're not good enough to go on the road and get a win. Dolphins have their problems, but I think they can bounce back strong. Pick here is Miami. Next on the docket, we have the 1-0 49ers taking on the 0-1 Saints at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The 49ers are 3.5-point favorites. Last week, the 49ers defeated the Seahawks 17-13, while the Saints lost to the Cardinals 20-13. The 49ers are a mess. They may not have Brock Purdy. They may not have Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle is definitely out for the 49ers. But against the Saints, who are the definition of clueless, even though they did play the Cardinals pretty tough, I get the feeling that Kellen Moore is going to make another one of these boneheaded mistakes coaching-wise, and it's going to cost his team the game. I might have a pick of the 49ers. Next on the docket, we have the 0-1 Giants taking on the 0-1 Cowboys at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Cowboys are favored by 5.5 points. Last week, the Cowboys lost to the Eagles 24-20, while the Giants lost to the Commanders 21-6. The Giants are a mess. Brian Daboll is hearing calls for his head already. When you're 1 week into the season and the natives are restless enough where they want you gone, something is really wrong. Now, folks, they have their problems, but they have at least enough together on the offensive side where I think they can be able to carry the day. Pick here is Dallas. And next on the docket, we have the 0-1 Bears taking on the 0-1 Lions at Ford Field in Detroit. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Lions are 6.5-point favorites. Last week, Bears lost to the Vikings 27-24, while the Lions lost to the Packers 27-13. I cannot believe that both teams played as bad as they did. The Bears played good for 2.5 quarters, then fell apart in the fourth as J.J. McCarthy rallied the Vikings. The Lions looked lost. Jared Goff looked lost. Is Ben Johnson that much of a difference? One has to only wonder if Jared Goff benefited just under Ben Johnson's play calling, and if Ben Johnson's going to know enough of Jared Goff's weaknesses to have the Bears go after the Lions. If the game was in Chicago, I would push the Bears as an upset of the week, but the game's in Detroit. I can't do it. Pick here is Detroit. Last on the 1 o'clock docket, we have the 0-1 Seahawks taking on the 1-0 Steelers at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Steelers are favored by 3.5 points. Last week, the Seahawks lost to the 49ers 17-13, while the Steelers defeated the Jets 34-32. Aaron Rodgers looked magnificent in playing the Jets, a team he had a deep grudge against. Will he have the same mindset against the Seahawks? As much as I would love to see the Seahawks come west, play a 1 o'clock game on an Eastern venue and pull the upset, I can't see it happening. I want the Seahawks to win this game, but reality is reality. Pick is Pittsburgh. Take a time out, come back with the late games and the Sunday night games and the Monday night doubleheader. Sports from the Hoodwoods. Hot take picks for week 2 rolls on after this. We go on the Hoodwood. Let's look at the late docket of games for week 2. Starting off with the 4-5 game in Indianapolis, the 1-0 Broncos taking on the 1 Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. The game is shown on CBS. The Broncos are 1.5-point favorites. Last week, the Broncos defeated the Titans 20-12, while the Colts defeated the Dolphins 33. Can Daniel Jones really be that good? No, stop it. Daniel Jones is not that good. The Dolphins made a litany of mistakes, and any competent quarterback should be able to take advantage of that. Now, playing the Broncos, who have a much better defense, and the Broncos have at least a fairly competent offense, even though I can't stand Sean Payton, I think they'll turn the tables and make the Colts look bad. Pick here is Denver. Next on the docket, we have the 0-1 Panthers taking on the 1-0 Cardinals at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. 4:05 kickoff on CBS. The Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites. Last week, the Panthers lost to the Jaguars 26-10, while the Cardinals defeated the Saints 20-13. The Cardinals are going to take advantage of playing two weak NFC South teams to the full advantage. Are the Cardinals that good? No. But they have at least enough competency on offense where they can make an opposing defense work. Bryce Young is looking more and more clueless by the week. And you really wonder how long it's going to be before he gets benched. Now, I know it's only 1 week into the 2025 season, but if he plays like he played against Jacksonville against the Cardinals, he will get annihilated. I don't see a really good outcome here. The pick is Arizona. The national game of the week on Fox. Everybody gets this on Fox at the 425 slot. The 1-0 Eagles taking on the 0-1 Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. This is a nationally televised game, 425 on Fox. Eagles are favored by 1.5 points. Last week, both teams played early in the week. Eagles defeating the Cowboys 24-20, while the Chiefs lost to the Chargers 27-21. Is the veneer and the mystique of the Chiefs falling away? The Chargers finally got a close game to swing their way in Brazil. Patrick Mahomes looked human. Travis Kelce looked human. The Chiefs' offense looked pedestrian. They struggled. The Eagles, meanwhile, the defending Super Bowl champs, while they didn't look stellar in defeating the Pokes, they did just enough to get the win. And after a lengthy lightning delay, had the defense hold on in the third and fourth quarters. Going on the venue, now this is only the 12th time that the previous year's Super Bowl participants faced off in the regular season, but it's a third straight time. Something that schedule makers know that we don't. Anyway, I still think if there was any team that could go to Kansas City and win, it's the Eagles. It's going to be a tight game, but I still think the Eagles can win. And the pick is Philadelphia. Turning to the primetime games, we have the 0-1 Falcons taking on the 1-0 Vikings at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. 8:20 kickoff on NBC. The Vikings are 3.5-point favorites. Last week, the Falcons lost to the Buccaneers 23-20, while the Vikings defeated the Bears 27-24. AJ McCarthy looked like a rookie for 2.5 quarters. Almost into the fourth quarter, he was looking really bad. But the Vikings defense played a lot better than advertised. They had only given up 10 points through 3 quarters. Yeah, they were down 17-6 after an awful pick 6 by McCarthy. But McCarthy steadied himself, got his sea legs, and ripped off 21 straight points for the Vikings to rally for the improbable Monday night victory. They host the Falcons, who tried their damnedest to give the game away and eventually did to the Buccaneers, losing at the last second when a 50-yard field goal by Young Ho Koo slid to the right. The Falcons have talent. They do have some good players. Michael Penix Jr. will be a star in this league. Now, you think these are two young quarterbacks on the come up, but I like J.J. McCarthy, not just because I'm a Vikings fan, but I think his moxie and his mental ability and mental acuity will carry the day. And I think the Vikings will be one of the surprise 2-0 starts of the season. Pick here is Minnesota. Turning to the Monday night games, we have the 1-0 Buccaneers taking on the 0-1 Texans at NRG Field in Houston. 7 o'clock kickoff on ABC and ESPN. The Texans are 2.5-point favorites. Last week, the Buccaneers defeated the Falcons 23-20, while the Texans lost to the Rams 14-9. I just like CJ Stroud. And I don't know. Maybe it's personal bias, but I just can't really buy into Baker Mayfield being a primetime quarterback, even though he played really good last year, even though he played solid in beating the Falcons in week 1. I can't buy into it. Even though the Texans are the favorite, I have to pick an upset. And I think that the Buccaneers should be favored in this game, even though they're on the road. So that's why I'm picking the Texans as the Hoodwood upset of the week. Finally, Like the last Monday night game, I love Monday night doubleheaders, and I've said time and time again, this is the way the schedule should be for Monday night. 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Perfect. The 1-0 Chargers taking on the 1-0 Raiders at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, 10 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. The Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. Last week, the Chargers defeated the Chiefs 27-21, while the Raiders defeated the Patriots 20-13. It's an illusion. It really is. The Raiders are not that competent. Yes, Pete Carroll is a great coach. Yes, he will make the Raiders fairly competitive, but I cannot see the Chargers falling apart that badly to the Raiders, even though this would be technically the Chargers' first quote unquote road game because they were the home game in Brazil, the home team in Brazil. They're still playing on the road. And the Raiders usually have easier time with the Chargers. They give the Chargers a lot harder time than they're used to. That being said, I don't think that Justin Herbert will have that much of a problem with the Raiders defense. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to bring him along very smashingly, and that the Chargers carry the day. The pick here is the LA Chargers. The Chargers have been in LA 8 years, and I still want to call them the San Diego Chargers. Old habits die hard, I guess. Last week it was 12-4 with both the lock and upset correct. So 12-4 is the starting ledger for the year. We'll see if we can build on that going forward. Coming up, we will have the Hoodwood Fat Dap, Head Slap, and the final word from the Wood. Sports from the Hoodwood heads down the home stretch after this.
Is today your last day on Earth because you are being deployed to space tomorrow? Have you just turned 18 and you're ready to get out of your parents' house? Has your granddaughter gotten her boyfriend pregnant? Whatever your reason, you need us at GottaGetMarriedNow.com. We specialize in last-minute weddings. Active duty, military veterans and retired discounts are available. Visit us at GottaGetMarriedNow.com.
Do you love high school football? Want to get in the minds of coaches before their big game? Then tune into the Hurry Up podcast. Presented by Hoodwood Media Group, the Hurry Up checks in with high school coaches weekly to get their thoughts on their next opponent and what it will take to get a victory. Check out the Hurry Up podcast every Thursday on YouTube on the Hoodwood Media Group page, linked in the show notes. Be sure to follow us on social media at HG Media Group. And now, back to the Hoodwood.
You're tuned into Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinions on the world of sports. Here now live in living color, black by popular demand. Your host, KJ Green.
Rounding third and headed for home here in the Hoodwood, we'll finish up strong with the Hoodwood Fat Dap Head Slap and the final word from the Wood. Now, the Hoodwood Fat Dap goes to Drew Feltwell. Now you say, who is that? Who in this next kind of sports? That is the father of the young man who he in the Phillies home run gate. And we're going to talk about a home run that Harrison Bader hit for the Phillies in Miami just a few days ago. And Feltwell grabbed the ball out of a crowd of people. You know, the ball was in the stands. He grabbed it off the ground, goes back, gives it to his son. And there's one lady who still remains unidentified. They start calling her Phillies Karen, goes over and harasses the man about thinking that she should have had the ball. Now, Feltwell, instead of arguing at length with this woman, gives the ball to her. Here's the ball, go away. Now, Lincoln, his son, who we retrieved the ball for, ended up getting a treasure trove of items. The Marlins brought him some gear. Harrison Bader met up with him after the game, gave him a sign back, and tickets to the World Series. Now, the kid could have just had the ball, and that'd have been that. But because his father gave the ball away unselfishly just to prevent an argument, he ended up coming out ahead. So Fat Dap to Drew Feltwell, who did right by his son and ended up coming out ahead. The head slap of the week. Now, I don't play golf, even though the Hoodwood is about a a good drive, a good 9-iron drive, or a driver's length away from a golf course, I don't play golf. Chasing a little white ball around the hot sun is not my idea of fun. But I do know enough of my limitations where I'm not going to play because I know I'm going to get ridiculous scores. John Daly is a professional. He made it into the PGA Tour Champions Records book, but in the absolute wrong way. He took a 19 on a single hole. Not on a back nine, not on a series of holes. One hole. The par 5 12th hole at the Sanford, try it again. The par 5 12th hole at the Sanford International. 19 shots. 19 shots. If I'm shooting golf, and I know I'm no good, so I'm not even going to try it. After a number of shots and knowing I'm not getting anywhere into the hole, I'm like, skip it. I'm going on to the next hole. How do you get 19 on one hole? He finished with an 88 for the round. It's just 19 shots on one hole. Are you serious? Dude, just give it up. And without much further ado, let's go to the final word from the Wood. Now, I do like a good lollipop. Cherry blow pop or a chocolate Tootsie Roll lollipop. Not as much as I did when I was a kid. I can't have them now as many. I'm almost 53 years old, and that's not really good, especially since I'm type 2 diabetic. But nonetheless, a lollipop every now and then isn't going to hurt anybody. You know who else likes lollipops? Power 4 football teams. The abundance of lollipop games, or as they're more better known in parlance, bye games, non-conference matchups, where a larger, often wealthier school pays a smaller school a fee to play at the larger school's home stadium. Most of the time, when you have opponents play one another, it's usually a home and home. But what the bigger schools like to do is they get smaller schools to play them a one-off game, pay them a hefty check, and they go away. In return, the home team usually beats the crap out of said smaller school and hands them a big check. For example, Western Kentucky playing Alabama. Alabama paid Western Kentucky $1.9 million and beat them 63-0. Fresno State got a $1.85 million check to play Michigan. Michigan walked away with a 30-10 win. Ohio State is notorious for these type of games. They played Akron. They beat them 52-6. They handed them a $1.8 million check to go away. Now, this doesn't always happen the way it normally does with smaller school goes to bigger school beats up smaller school, hands them a check, they go away. That normally doesn't, sometimes it doesn't happen the way it's supposed to. For example, Notre Dame was supposed to play Cincinnati in 2021. Notre Dame gave Cincinnati $1 million. Come up there, one game, play them in South Bend. Cincinnati beat Notre Dame on its way to the college football playoff in 2021. Sometimes it does backfire. The point I'm trying to make is this. For every 73-0 pasting that Indiana is beating Indiana State on Friday night, or 66-0 drubbing that Minnesota handed Northwestern State, not Northwestern, the private school outside of Chicago, Northwestern State. Quick. Where is Northwestern State? You don't know. Don't even try to play like you do know. I didn't know where Northwestern State is, and that's my beloved alma mater UC's next opponent on September 13th. I know they're in Louisiana, but I wasn't sure where they're at. I had to look it up. It's Natchitoches. Natchitoches? I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of that city that Northwestern State is playing, but Northwestern State is getting a massive amount of money for its 2 games that it's playing against Power 4 schools. It played Minnesota and lost 66-0. That game could have been worse if the game hadn't been called in the fourth quarter because of reported lightning in the area. Minnesota could have hung 70 on them. Northwestern State has They won their first game against Alcorn State 2 weeks ago. That was their first win since 2022. They're playing Cincinnati this weekend, and they won't even put a line out on the game because it's expected that Cincinnati is going to hand the, I believe it's the Delta Devils, an absolute wrecking of an absolute whooping. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be score, 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 and the other team's not going to score that many. The Demons are going to take about a $350,000 check and take a beating and go away. Now, these smaller schools use these big paydays to fund their athletic departments. But what I don't like are the abundance of these lollipop games. They're boring. The alumni get to watch their favorite team beat on somebody for 3 hours. But it's not competitive. And you hope as coaches that you can get many players into the game as possible and that no one gets hurt. The frequency of actual big games, non-conference games, are few and far between. You don't see a Texas-Ohio State every year. You don't see a Michigan-Oklahoma every year. You don't see an Alabama-Wisconsin game every year. Now, Alabama and Wisconsin played last year, and the return game is going to be in Tuscaloosa this year. But a home-and-home series between two Power 4 schools, non-conference schools, is rare. It's few and far between. These bigger schools would rather have a lollipop to kick around before they get in their conference play. They figure their conference play is good enough. Why go outside of their conference to play and possibly take a loss? Alabama took it on the chin against Florida State, a non-conference game. Now, again, they play Wisconsin before they get into their rugged SEC slate of games. Many people in Alabama think, why should we even play these big schools, possibly take a loss, damage our chances at the playoff when we have the SEC, one of the strongest conference, if not the strongest football conference in college football. But the thing is this, playing non-conference teams that are of the Power 4 ilk are good for the character. I don't mind my Bearcats playing Nebraska in a power conference versus power conference game. If they lose honorably, I don't mind that because it helps sharpen the team. Iron sharpens iron. Playing a Nebraska as opposed to playing a Bowling Green, another, I would call that a lollipop school, but it is a softer non-conference opponent. Playing a tougher slate makes the team tougher. But the Power 4 schools don't want to hear that. They'll continue to write the checks and watch as Nowhereville State or whatever semi-directional state school comes into the Lions Den, gets their brains beat in, takes the check, and goes away. And it'll continue to go on and on. The beatings will go on, and the alumni and the fan base will remain happy. I'm going to go to the game on Saturday and watch my beloved Bearcats pound Northwestern State into the dust. If this game is anywhere close, and like I said, those games can backfire. Remember Appalachian State beating Michigan in 2007, ruining their season and legitimizing the Mountaineers. They ended up making the come up to Division I after that, but they used that lollipop game, taking $600,000 and using that as a springboard to move into D1. The lollipop can come back to bite you. Can never be too sure. And that is the final word from the wood. Now, with the music coming up in the background, you know that means that your time here in the Hoodwood is just about done, and I thank you so much for your visit. Now, the show's email is kjgreen@sportsfromthehoodwood.com. Please send me emails regarding show topics, both past and future, questions, comments on the show, and praise and criticism. I welcome your correspondence and will try to get back with you as soon as possible. Now, the show's website is sportsfromthehoodwood.com, has back catalog of the show dating back 13 years in both audio and video forms. So you can check that out if there are shows that you may have missed. And you can join the debate and conversation on the Sports from the Hoodwood page on Facebook, which also has the video podcast simulcast, as well as other topics, funny stuff I find on the web, plenty of great sports debate, and lots more. I post there often, as well as a lot of the other active members, a lot of good stuff being posted on there, so you can check that out. You can check that out as often as possible. Now, the video versions are also on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe and smash that like button for more great content. The link to the podcast is also on the show's Blue Sky feed at hoodwoodsports.bskysocial. And we're getting that back up as quickly as possible. That also has a host of interesting stuff to find on there. Your correspondence with the show is encouraged, and we do respond back, so like and follow there as well. Now, the audio version is on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Samsung Podcast, Apple Podcasts, a host of other fine podcast platforms and providers. If I missed one, please tell me. If it's not on, if we don't carry this podcast on your favorite podcast provider, please let me know. Drop me a line, and I will do what I can to get it there. Special thanks, as always, to Rage Pictures for production assistance to the website and to the show. I do appreciate your correspondence, your patronage. Please like and smash. Hit the like button, smash the subscribe button for great content all the way around. We are on YouTube as well. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, from the Hoodwood. It's a little ragged this week, but I do appreciate your patience. My name is KJ Green. I'm merely Bev's son. Thank you so much for your patience, boys and girls. Until next time, sports fans, 30.
Sports from the Hoodwood
is a Black Bandit Productions and Enterprises presentation
of a 551 audio and films production.